Elizabeth's hands were shaking. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. She sat on the black leather salon chair, the cape around her neck, the smell of hair cream thick in the air. The buzzing sound from the generator outside hummed softly under the sound of distant Lagos traffic. Slowly, very slowly, Lizzy lifted the small round mirror from her lap. Madame Funk's hands moved quickly on her head, weaving, twisting, picking, pressing. Lizzy had never seen anyone's hands move that fast before. It didn't even feel like one person. Her fingers trembled as she tilted the mirror to see her reflection, and that was when she saw it. Not one hand on her hair, not two, not three, but many hands. At least 6 dark, long, thin hands moving over her head in the mirror. Hands with no body, hands with no face. Just hands, floating around her hair like shadows, twisting and weaving, moving faster than any human could. Lizzy's breath caught in her throat. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. The air in the small salon suddenly felt cold. The radio in the corner crackled and went silent. Lizzy blinked hard, thinking her eyes were lying. But the hands were still there. One hand parted her hair, another hand held the section, another rubbed gel, another picked comb, all in 1 second, all without a body. "Jesus," Lizzy whispered, her lips dry. One of the floating hands paused, as if it heard her. Then, slowly, it turned in the mirror and reached toward her face. Lizzy dropped the mirror. Crack! The mirror crashed to the tiled floor and broke into 3 jagged pieces. Her scream finally tore out of her mouth. Ah! Ah! Everything went black. That was the day Elizabeth almost lost her mind in a small salon in Ikoyi. But the story didn't start with broken mirrors and spirit hands. It started hours earlier, with sunshine, laughter, and a girl who just wanted to look beautiful for her big day. "Lizzy, wake up! Today is your convocation, oh!" Her roommate, Tolu, shook her shoulder playfully. Elizabeth groaned and rolled over on the thin mattress in their small shared room in Surulere. Morning light slipped through the faded curtain, painting soft lines on the wall. She slowly opened her eyes and smiled. "Today is finally here," she whispered. 4 years of stress, 4 years of hunger sometimes, 4 years of late-night reading with candle and torchlight. And now she was finally graduating. Tolu clapped her hands. "My graduate, see as you're even smiling in your sleep, better stand up and arrange yourself." Lizzy sat up and stretched. Her thick natural hair, long and full, stood around her head like a wild crown. She hissed softly, "This hair will not let me be great. I must do something fine today. That's why I keep telling you." "Go to Madame Funke," Tolu said, opening the small wardrobe and pulling out a neat gown. "Just see the way she transformed my hair last month. People were asking if I imported my braids from heaven." Lizzy laughed. "But her price is not heavenly at all." "How much is your face on your convocation picture?" Tolu shot back. "Do you want to look like village champion or like Lagos big girl?" Lizzy looked at herself in the small cracked mirror on the wall. Dark skin glowing, bright eyes, smooth cheeks, and wild stubborn hair that refused to obey comb. She sighed. "Fine, I'll go. And remember the rule O," Tolu said, serious now. "Nobody looks at the mirror while she is working." Lizzy turned. "That one again? Why?" Tolu shrugged. "They say it's her policy. She doesn't want distraction." Elizabeth frowned. "But how can I be in a salon and not even check how my hair is going as she is doing it?" Tolu's voice dropped lower. "Some people also say that strange things happen if you look too early." Lizzy burst into laughter. "I beg, please don't start. You know I don't like all these scary gist in the morning." "I'm serious," Tolu insisted. "My cousin Dami said one girl nearly fainted there one time." "Did she see ghost?" Lizzy teased. I don't know, Tolu admitted. They just said she screamed and ran out without even paying. Since then, everybody just respects the rule. Madame Funk's hands are fast. You won't even know when she's done. Lizzy waved her hand. Stories, stories. Lagos people like drama. But deep inside, a tiny seed of fear sat down quietly. The hot afternoon sun sat over Ikoyi like a bright watchman when Lizzy finally reached the street of the famous salon. The road was neat, lined with trees and fine houses with high fences. Smooth cars passed, Range Rovers, Benz, Jeeps with dark-tinted glass. It was a very different world from the busy, noisy streets around her hostel. Lizzy hugged her small bag close and walked slowly, reading the signboards. She saw it before she read it, a small but neat shop painted cream and purple. With a bright sign on top, Madame Funk, Beauty Place. No mirror during hairdoing, pay before service. Lizzy stopped and stared. No mirror during hairdoing, she read aloud. She even wrote it on the board. The glass door had stickers of different hairstyles. Braids, Ghana weaving, knotless braids, twist, cornrows. Two women came out just then, laughing and touching their hair. "Auntie, your hair is fino," Lizzy said without thinking. The woman smiled proudly and touched her neat braids. "Na Madame Funky now. Once she touch your head, forget." "She's very fast too," the other woman added. "I sat down for only 40 minutes. See my hair." Lizzy watched the braids. They were perfect. No rough part. No mistake. Her heart made a small jump. I want that. She took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The salon was small but clean. White tiles on the floor, purple chairs against the wall. Posters of women with long shining braids smiled down from the walls. A big standing fan turned slowly, pushing cool air around. The smell of hair cream, shampoo and spray filled the room. And there, in the middle, was Mama Funka. She was not very tall, but she carried herself like a queen. Dark skin, full body, wrapper tied around her waist, and a simple t-shirt. Her hair was covered with a satin scarf. On her face was a calm, serious look. Her hands moved quickly on a young girl's head, weaving, pulling, twisting. The girl sat still, eyes closed, as if sleeping. There was no assistant, no extra girl carrying comb or passing gel. Only Madame Funka. Lizzy swallowed. "Good afternoon, Ma," she said softly. Without looking up, Madame Funka answered. "Afternoon, my dear. You're welcome. Sit down. I will soon finish." Her voice was gentle but strong. Lizzy could feel something heavy in it. She sat on a purple chair and waited. Beside her, another lady scrolled on her phone, humming to the soft gospel song playing from the small speaker. Lizzy watched. She timed it. In less than 10 minutes, Madame Funka finished the girl's neat all-back braids, tied the ends in hot water, cleaned her neck with a towel, and collected her money. "Next," she said simply. The lady beside Lizzy stood. "I'm doing knotless braids, Ma." "Sit." Again the hands flew. Pick hair, part, weave, pick attachment, feed in, gel, weave again. Lizzy stared, eyes wide. The woman's fingers moved like they were dancing. There was no resting, no slowing down, no sign of tiredness. Still no assistant, still only her. "Ha!" Lizzy whispered under her breath. "Is she a machine?" As the braids grew longer and longer, Lizzy noticed something else. The mirror in front of the chair was covered. A soft purple cloth hung over it, blocking the reflection. The lady getting her hair done didn't even try to look under. She just sat quietly, like it was the most normal thing in the world. When Madame Funk's eyes fell on Lizzy for the first time, Lizzy felt a small shiver. The woman's eyes were sharp and deep, like she could see inside your thoughts. "You," she said, "what's your name and what do you want to do?" My name is Elizabeth, Ma, but people call me Lizzy, she said, trying to smile. I want something fine for my convocation tomorrow. Maybe small feeding braids up, then curly weave at the back. How much you have? Madame Funk asked simply. Lizzy swallowed. I have 15,000, Ma. Convocation, Madame Funker repeated, looking at her hair. Your hair is full, strong. It will take time. Lizzy's heart sank. Maybe she will say it's not enough. Then Madame Funky nodded. I will do it, Lizzy almost shouted from joy. Thank you, Ma. God bless you, Ma. Sit on the chair, the woman said. Pay first, and remember, you must not look in the mirror until I am done. That is my policy. Lizzy hesitated. But Ma... She started. Madame Funk's eyes hardened for a second. Do you want me to do your hair or not, my dear? Lizzy's mouth shut. She quickly paid, then sat on the big salon chair. The purple cloth already covered the mirror in front. She could not see her face. She could not see her hair. She could only feel. The first touch of Madame Funk's hand on her scalp was gentle. Then it became fast, very fast. Lizzy closed her eyes. She felt fingers rushing through her hair, parting it, combing, holding, twisting. It didn't feel like one hand. It felt like many hands. Small, quick, cold hands. Moving around her head at the same time, left side, right side, back, front. Sometimes she felt a hand touch her neck. Yet when she opened her eyes and glanced up, she saw only Madame Funker's body standing behind her. How are you doing it so fast, Ma? Lizzy asked, trying to laugh. No talking, Madame Funk said quietly. Just relax, you will love it when I finish. The fan hummed in the corner. Outside, a car horn sounded faintly, but inside Lizzy's chest a strange fear grew. Her scalp felt cold in some places, hot in others. It felt like more than 10 fingers were picking her hair at once. Her heart began to beat faster. This is not normal, she thought. She licked her dry lips. Ma, can I just take small look? She asked again. Just small. I like to see how... I said no. Madame Funky snapped this time. Her voice was sharp. If you want to see your hair every minute, you should have gone to another salon. That's not how I work here. Silence crashed into the room. The other customers looked up. The gospel music playing from the speaker suddenly sounded far away. Lizzy's cheeks burned with shame. Sorry, Ma, she whispered. Close your eyes and be still, Madame Funky said softer now. Some rules are not meant to be broken. Lizzy tried. She tried to relax. She tried to ignore the feeling of too many hands on her head. But then something brushed her shoulder. It was cold, like ice. She jumped. Sorry, she muttered, looking to the side. No one was there. The other lady was still scrolling her phone. The fan turned lazily. A soft breeze passed again, but nothing touched her this time. Lizzy swallowed hard. Sweat formed on her palm, even though the room was cool. Slowly, carefully, with Madame Funk's eyes fixed on her hair, Lizzy slid her hand into her bag on her lap. Her fingers touched something smooth and round, her small silver pocket mirror. She had forgotten she put it there. Her heart began to race. If I can just take one small look, she told herself, just one. I will be at peace. She waited. Waited for the moment when Madame Funk turned her head slightly to pick something from the small table behind. The moment came. Madame Funk stretched her right hand back, reaching for gel. Her eyes were no longer on Lizzy's face. Very slowly, very carefully. Lizzy brought the tiny mirror out of her bag and lowered it toward her lap, tilting it up to catch her reflection. Just as, somewhere in the quiet salon, a soft, strange whisper floated in the air. Don't look. Or was it, look now? Lizzy couldn't tell. Her fingers tightened around the mirror, and she began to lift it. Lizzy's fingers shook as she lifted the small silver mirror. Her heart beat so fast she felt it in her throat. The salon was quiet now. The gospel song had ended. The fan still turned slowly, but the sound felt far away, like it was coming from another world. Madame Funk's hands moved on her head, fast and strong. "Hold your head straight," Madame Funk said calmly. "We are almost done." Lizzy swallowed. Her palm was wet with sweat, but she still held the mirror. "Just one small look," she told herself. "Nothing will happen. People are just afraid for nothing. I need to see my hair." She lowered her eyes and tilted the mirror up. At first, she saw only the edge of her face, her lips, her nose, her eyes, wide and nervous. She moved the mirror a little higher, and then she saw it, her hair, her head, and hands, many hands. Not just Madame Funk's 2 hands, but extra hands, hands with long fingers, hands that seemed to grow from the air, hands with no body. They moved so fast her eyes almost could not follow. One hand parted her hair. Another held a section tight, another rubbed gel, another picked a comb, another held a hair extension, another twisted and folded. There were 6, maybe 7, all dark, all thin, all floating, all working on her hair at the same time. Lizzy froze, the mirror almost slipped from her hand. Her brain refused what her eyes were seeing. No, this is not real. I am dreaming. I am tired. Maybe I did not sleep well. Maybe... Then one of the hands stopped, slowly, like it felt her watching. It turned in the mirror and pointed directly at her. Lizzy's breath stopped. The mirror felt like ice in her hand. She wanted to scream, but her throat was locked. The hand in the mirror moved closer to her face, closer, closer, like it was reaching through the glass. "Stop looking," a voice whispered. Lizzy did not know if the voice was in the room or in her head. "Stop looking," she snapped. Her body moved before her mind. She jerked the mirror away. It slipped from her wet fingers. Crack. The mirror hit the tiled floor and broke into 3 sharp pieces. The sound cut through the room like a slap. Lizzy screamed from the bottom of her stomach. "Ah!" Her whole body shook. She jumped from the chair, pulling the cape around her neck. Her heart hammered. Her vision blurred. The world turned around her. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was Madame Funk's face in the mirror cloth. Cold, angry and scared at the same time. Then the room faded, and everything went black. "Wake up, my dear. Wake up. Open your eyes." The voice was soft, like someone calling from far away. "Lizzy, please. Can you hear me? Open your eyes." Her chest felt heavy. Her head felt as if someone had dropped a stone on it. She tried to move, but her body felt weak. After some seconds, she slowly blinked. Light rushed in. Shapes began to form. She saw a ceiling, a moving fan, purple walls, and faces, many faces. Women, girls, even one man in a delivery uniform who stood at the door. All of them were looking down at her. "Jesus, she is awake," someone said. "Give her water. Press her palm. Shift, shift, let her breathe." Lizzy realized she was lying on the floor of the salon. Her head rested on a folded wrapper. Someone was holding her hand. Her chest went up and down fast as she took in air. I'm... Where? She whispered. "Relax, my dear," the woman beside her said. It was one of the customers. "You fainted." Fainted. The memory rushed back like a fast wave. The mirror, the hands, the pointing finger. Lizzy sat up quickly, panic on her face. "The mirror!" she shouted. "The hands! There were hands on my hair, many hands. They didn't have body. They were spirits." The room fell quiet. Everybody turned to look at her properly. Some stepped back. Some moved closer, curiosity in their eyes. One woman made the sign of the cross. At the far end of the room, near the chair, Madame Funky stood. Her arms were folded across her chest. Her face was hard and tight. The broken pieces of the small mirror still lay on the floor near the chair, shining under the light. "Calm down first," someone said. "You are shaking." "I'm not lying," Lizzy cried. Tears filled her eyes. "I saw it. I swear to God, I saw it. There were hands on my hair, 6 or 7. They were not her hands. They were not human. They were moving very fast in the mirror. They were spirits." The man at the door whistled under his breath. "Ha! This one passed me." One girl with red braids whispered, "I knew it. I knew this place is not normal." Another woman hissed, "I beg, don't start. It might just be the girl's imagination. People faint all the time." Lizzy turned to Madame Funke. Their eyes met. For a second, the whole world seemed to stop. "What did you do to my hair?" Lizzy asked, voice shaking. "What is inside this place? Who is helping you? Please tell them the truth. I saw the hands." Madame Funk's lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes were dark, heavy, unreadable. When she spoke, her voice was calm but cold. "The only hands that touched your hair," she said slowly, "are these two." She lifted her own hands. They looked normal. Thick fingers, light veins, slightly oily from hair cream. "You fainted because you disobeyed my rule and frightened yourself. You were warned not to look in the mirror." Lizzy shook her head violently. No, I know what I saw. Please believe me, I am not crazy. There were spirit hands." The woman with the red braids shifted uncomfortably. "Auntie, this is not the first time something like this is happening. My neighbor said one girl also shouted here one time." "Shouted does not mean spirit," Madame Funke snapped. "This is Lagos. People shout every day. Did anyone die here? Did you see blood on the floor?" She spread her hands wide. "This is a clean business. I pay rent. I mind my work. I have been making hair for years. Why is it now that suddenly I am using spirits?" Lizzy felt small, but anger burned in her chest. "I know what I saw," she repeated, tears rolling down now. "Those hands were not yours. They had no wrists, no arms, just hands. Working on my hair. One of them even pointed at me. It tried to touch my face." Someone gasped, "Jesus have mercy." "Maybe she needs prayer. Maybe she is under stress," a soft voice said. Everyone turned. An older woman stood near the door, holding a nylon bag of food. Her hair was covered with a wrapper. Her face was tired but kind. "I am Mama Bose," she said slowly. "I live 2 houses down. I have been passing this salon for years. I have seen many girls come and go. Some cry. Some smile. But," she paused, "I have always wondered one thing." "What is that?" "Mama," the woman with red braids asked eagerly. The old woman's eyes rested on Madame Funke. "I have never seen her tired," Mama Bose said quietly. "From morning to night, from Monday to Sunday. Sunday I close," Madame Funke cut in sharply. "From Monday to Saturday," Mama continued, not looking away. "She works without stop. No girl to help her. No rest. No break. Yet she finishes plenty heads in one day. When I pass at night, the light is still on. When I pass early morning, she is already working. Tell me, is that normal?" Silence. The air felt heavy, like rain was about to fall inside the shop. Madame Funke's jaw clenched. "If I work hard, is it now a crime?" "It is not a crime to work hard," Mama Bose replied, "but it is a crime to hide what you are using to work hard. If it is not clean." Lizzy looked from the old woman to the stylist. Her hands still shook. Her heart wanted to jump out of her chest. "Something touched my shoulder," Lizzy whispered. "Something cold. I thought it was a hand, but when I turned, nobody was there." One girl quietly used her foot to push the broken mirror pieces farther away, as if they might cut her soul and not only her skin. The fan squeaked as it turned. Outside, a car horn blasted on the street, and a hawker shouted, "Gala, gala, la casera." Inside, nobody moved. "What did you see exactly?" the man in delivery uniform asked, his voice steady. "Say it again from the beginning." Lizzy took a shivery breath. She told them everything, how she felt many hands, how the air became cold, how the mirror showed them, how one hand pointed, how a voice whispered. As she spoke, a strange thing happened. Some women drew closer, eyes wide with fear and wonder. Others moved away, arms crossed, refusing to believe. But one person did not change. Madame Funke, she stood in the same place, eyes on Lizzy, face like stone. When Lizzy finished, her chest rose and fell quickly. "That is all," she said weakly. Mama Bose murmured. The man in uniform rubbed his chin. "This is not small matter, oh." The woman with red braids whispered, "Maybe we should call pastor." "Or call police," another said. "Police for what?" Someone else snapped. "Is it a crime to plait hair fast?" "I didn't say crime," the first woman answered, "but something is not right. Spirits in mirror. Hands without body. God forbid." All this time, Lizzy's scalp still tingled. Her hair felt heavy, almost like something was still holding it. She reached up to touch it and gasped. The front was almost fully done. Perfect, tiny feeding braids already lay shining against her scalp, neat and beautiful. She had fainted not long ago, but the hair looked like hours of work. "How is it already this much?" she whispered. "How?" Nobody answered. Slowly, she lowered her hand. Madame Funke stepped forward at last. "Listen," she said quietly, but everyone heard. "You all are inside my shop. You came to me because my hand is good. Now one girl says she saw spirits. Fine, believe what you like. But I will not stand here and allow anybody to destroy my name with stories." Her eyes burned into Lizzy's. "You fainted. It happens. Go home. Rest. If you want, don't come back. But don't lie against me." Lizzy opened her mouth to argue, but her voice broke into a sob. She didn't know what scared her more. The hands she saw in the mirror, or the way Madame Funke looked at her now, like a person who held a secret too big to carry. In her chest, a question rose like smoke. What if the spirits are not just inside the salon? What if they have followed me? As that thought crossed her mind, something strange happened. She heard, very clearly beside her ear, the sound of a comb, dragging through hair, slow, soft. But there was no comb near her, no hand touching her, no one behind her. Lizzy's blood turned cold. She turned her head slightly, eyes wide, listening. There it was again. Shuck. 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 The quiet sound of a comb moving through invisible hair. And this time, it was coming from somewhere just above her head. The sound was light, soft, almost gentle. Shuck. Shuck, shuck. The sound of a comb gliding through hair, only there was no comb. There was no hand. There was nobody behind Lizzy. The entire salon fell silent as Lizzy's eyes widened. She slowly lifted her trembling hand to her head, but stopped halfway when the sound came again, clearer this time, like it was right beside her ear. Shuck. Shuck. She froze. The air suddenly felt too cold for a warm Lagos afternoon. Goosebumps covered her skin like tiny needles. Is anybody combing?" Lizzy whispered, her voice cracking. Everyone turned. "No," the woman beside her said slowly, "we are not touching you." But the sound continued. Shuck, shuck. Lizzy's breath came out in small broken gasps. "It's combing me. Something is combing me." A few women stepped back, fear creeping into their eyes. The delivery man's voice shook when he spoke. "Auntie, maybe you should stand up." Lizzy started to stand, but something tugged her backward, lightly but clearly. She gasped and grabbed the chair arm. Something unseen had touched her hair. She felt it. A gentle pull, like fingers lifting a braid. "Jesu Christi," Mama Bose cried, stepping back. A few women screamed. The salon scattered into corners, but Madame Funke didn't move. She didn't panic. She didn't even blink. She stepped forward, her voice calm but strong. "Sit down." Lizzy shook her head violently. "No, something touched me. Something touched my hair." "Sit down," Madame Funke repeated, firmer now. "You are making everything worse. You touched the mirror when I told you not to. You have opened what should not be opened." "Sit." Her voice held an authority that made Lizzy feel like a child again. But fear screamed louder. Her whole body shook. "No, I want to leave. Please let me go." Madame Funke stepped closer, and suddenly her voice dropped. So low only Lizzy could hear her. "You want to leave," she whispered, "but if you stand up now, the hands may follow you home." Lizzy froze. Her blood turned to ice. Her heart slammed against her ribs. What do you mean?" she whispered. Madame Funke didn't answer. Instead, she reached for the purple cloth covering the mirror. With one smooth pull, whoosh, she unveiled the mirror. Everyone in the salon gasped. The mirror was huge. Not the small one they all expected. Not the usual salon mirror. This one was old, very old. The frame was carved with strange patterns, tiny faces, tiny hands, tiny symbols twisted together like vines. The glass wasn't clean, it was slightly dark. Like smoke had touched it for years. Lizzy stared, her heart beat like a drum. What is that?" one woman whispered, backing away. Madame Funke finally spoke. Her voice was calm, but heavy like a secret that had waited too long. "This mirror," she said, "is older than this shop, older than Lagos, older than my mother. It has been in my family for generations. And yes," she raised her eyes, meeting the frightened crowd, "it carries hands." People gasped, some covered their mouths. One woman whispered a prayer under her breath. "They are not evil spirits," Madame Funke continued. "They are helpers, ancestors. My grandmother's hands, my great-grandmother's hands, all the hands of women in my bloodline who made hair from age to age. They help me work fast. They help me finish styles no one can finish. That is why people come from Ikoyi, Lekki, even Victoria Island to braid here." Lizzy shook her head, tears spilling. No, that is not possible. Spirits, ancestors, helping you do hair." "What you saw," Funk said, pointing to the broken mirror pieces, "is because you looked before your time." She leaned closer. Her voice became sharp. "You broke the one rule that protects you." Lizzy felt the room closing in on her. Her chest tightened. Her fingers dug into the chair. "What rule?" she whispered. Funk raised her hand and pointed directly at the large mirror. "Never look at your hair while they are working." The salon was silent. Only the soft hum of the standing fan filled the air. Madame Funke continued, "The ancestors' hands do not like to be seen. They work in silence, hidden. When you look too early, you disturb them. They grow angry. They become restless. And when they become restless..." She paused, her eyes darkening. "They don't always stay inside the mirror." A scream rose from one of the customers. Another woman grabbed her bag and ran outside. Mama Bose whispered, "This is wickedness. This is devilish." The delivery man stepped back until he hit the wall. "Auntie, please, close that mirror." The air grew colder. Lizzy stared at the mirror, breath shaking. Her reflection stared back, but something was wrong. Very wrong. Something behind her moved. A shape, a shadow, A hand, a long, thin, dark hand, rising behind her reflection. Her blood froze. "Something is behind me," she whispered, unable to breathe. "Something is behind me." Nobody dared move. Nobody dared talk. Lizzy's legs trembled so badly she almost collapsed. The shadow hand reached higher, slowly, like it was waking up. Lizzy screamed, voice cracking with terror. "Help me!" But Madame Funke didn't panic. She stepped toward the mirror, raised her palm and slapped the surface hard. Pah! The shadow vanished instantly. The mirror turned still again. No movement, no strange shapes, just Lizzy's terrified reflection. Everyone in the room gasped. "What? What was that?" Lizzy cried. "It is because you broke the rule," Funk said, voice cold. "Once you see them, they see you too." Lizzy burst into tears. "I want to leave. I want to go home. Please, please, let me go." Madame Funk shook her head slowly. "Leaving is dangerous. They have noticed you. If you walk out now, they may follow you. They may not know when to stop,